All right, Brandon, it's Coach O. Here's what we have for you. So, a couple things that I like to look for as we start the delivery. All right, so we're going to take you up into hip load here. And the first thing I like to see is I want to see that front leg tracking up straight towards your back shoulder or your back ear, which is exactly what you got, which is good. Okay, so that leg lifts up. It's going towards our back shoulder. All right, I might say that you maybe go a little bit too high. Sometimes what can happen is we have a tendency to swing our hips. But it's not the end of the world. As long as that front knee is tracking up towards our back shoulder, that's all I really care about. Now, one thing that I want you to be careful of is your back leg. Okay, so this back leg, as we leg lift, should be completely straight up and down. So you're kind of sinking down into your glutes a little bit early. Okay, we want that thing to be straight up and down as we leg lift. Okay, so that's something that you're going to want to fix. All right, it's just we want that thing completely extended. All right, and then just back foot up against the rubber. Okay, and that's just, the only reason for that is it helps set up our hips kind of going down the mound. All right. The other thing that I noticed when you're in this position is we want your hips to go slightly elevated. So we want that front hip to be a little bit higher than the one in the back. Okay, so the reason I can tell that yours are going straight across like this is because your shoulders are going straight across. Okay, that front hip should be slightly higher than the back hip. All right, so this back leg needs to be fully extended. This front hip needs to be slightly higher than the back hip. So it's going more at this angle. All right, and your shoulders should match that plane. Okay, so we want that leg to lift straight up towards the back shoulder, which yours does. Okay, but then we also want those hips to be slightly elevated on the front side. Okay, and the whole reason for that is because it just sets up our hips in a good position to get us going down the mound. Okay, so we'll take you up on this side. See how this leg is slightly bent on the back side? We want that thing going straight up and down. Okay, we want that thing fully extended. All right. Okay, so there's that. Let's take you out into hip lead. So now we're going down the mound. Okay, one thing to think about too, that I know we talked about at the beginning of last year, is keeping our hands together. Okay, so see how as we're coming up, our hands come apart. Okay, I'd really like to see you keep those things together just because it can kind of create some timing issues. All right, so that's just something to think about. All right, so now let's take you out into hip lead. Okay, so hip lead, we're going to stop about right there. Okay, on the left side. And one thing I look for on hip lead is as we come from the apex of our leg lift, okay, if I draw a line straight with our backside, okay, I want to see that back knee initiate the move down the mound. Okay, which is good. Okay, I want to see that back knee track it down straight towards the catcher. So our back knee is going this way. Okay, which you do have a little bit of movement there, which is good. Okay, we want to create an angle between if our shin was vertical and have it going in towards the catcher, which is what you have. Okay, and you might get this a little bit confused with what I was mentioning with keeping a vertical shin. Okay, when I say keeping a vertical shin, what I'm talking about is, let's look on the one to the right. What you want to see is you want to see the shin going vertical this way. All right, we want to sit back on our heel a little bit longer so our shin's more straight up and down on the back side. Okay, it's going to pinch in towards your catcher because that's what allows you to push into the ground. All right, we want to apply force going into the ground this way because that's what's going to get us force going towards our catcher that way. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that knee pinch going straight towards the catcher, but if you look at this video on the right, you'll notice that your knee is actually going in that direction. Okay, that's no good. All right, we want that thing going straight towards our catcher. All right, in a straight line towards our catcher. Okay, so we want that knee to not really go over the toes, but stay over the middle of our foot. if that makes sense. Okay, the way that we do that is to think about when you back squat, your hips go back, right? Okay, so this leg, this post leg, should stay vertical, okay, and our hips need to go more back, okay? That will set us into using our glutes, all right, our butt muscles to help us rotate, and not so much our quads. Okay, when we get into quad, all right, when we get quad dominant with our rotation, that's when we can run into some trouble, okay, and we're leaking a lot of energy there. Okay, so we want to make sure, see how early you come up onto your toe on this right side. Okay, if we're looking here, see how fast you come up onto your toe down here. Okay, you come up onto your toe going into foot plant. All right, and that's not what we want, and that's a result of being quad dominant, all right, and not glute dominant. And what you'll notice is because you jump up onto your toe, what happens is when we use our quads, we can kind of get jumpy, okay, and what's going to happen is you're going to land on your toe on the front side, and that's because your body's trying to balance itself. Okay, so see how you come up onto your toe so quick? All right, that means we're not really using our glutes very well, so we got to come up with some drills that help you activate your glutes a little bit better. All right, so that's one thing to think about. Okay, and if you have questions on that, I can explain it to you. All right, so getting into our glutes, that's number one probably. Okay, and a lot of that will come all the way from back up in here. All right, setting our hips in a proper a proper alignment will help you all the way down here, this far down into the delivery. Okay, now the next thing I notice is when we land. Okay, so this is what we call hip separation. Okay, so I'll get you on front foot strike on this side too. About right there. And what you'll notice is that's actually not terrible, all right? Our hips are open, all right, and our shoulders are closed. Okay, that's not bad. One thing though that we want to see, I like to draw a line straight up through the middle. Okay, and I'd like to see our head on the back side of that line. Okay, our head should be kind of going back this way. If I draw another arrow here, okay, if this yellow line was our head, we actually want our head back behind it. Okay, that lateral trunk tilt where it's going backwards allows us to use our weight more and get more behind the throw. Okay, but the problem is because you come up onto your toe so early, that knee tracks over your toes. Knee tracks over your toes and not straight in towards the catcher. All right, our weight has to shift forward and our head goes forward with it, and we're not able to stay back, and so we lose a lot of power there. Okay, so this is why that back leg is so important. Okay, so we want our head to be back still behind that green line at this point. Okay, second thing I notice is if you look at your glove side, okay, we still want this glove to be up at this point. So our glove should still be blocking off our front side. And if you look, yours is already opening up. All right, it's opening up pretty quick. Okay, what that'll help us do, if that glove is working thumb down to thumb up, okay, where your glove at here is here, that glove needs to be in that position when we're here at foot strike. Okay, so your front side's opening up a little bit early, and some of that's a result because we're opening up too soon with our hips, okay, because we're getting quad dominant. Okay. The last thing I notice when we're in this position is look at your front leg, all right, as you go to throw. Okay, so see how much flexion you have there? Okay, that is not good. You are losing like crazy amounts of velocity there, Brandon. Okay, this front leg on release should be completely straight. All right, and I can explain this to you. I can explain this the best way I can with a seatbelt. All right, so when you're driving and you don't have your seatbelt on, but you have your seatbelt on, but it's not going across your chest. All right, if someone slams on the brakes, what happens is you tilt forward, right? Okay, so your front leg is stopping. All right, it's bracing, but we want to see that thing extend as you go into pitch release. Okay, you are losing crazy amounts of velocity because that leg is so bent. All right, so I'll show you some medicine ball drills. Like an overhead med ball slam would be really, really good for you because that'll help you use that front leg a little bit better to get energy going from your front side out your back side. Okay, so that's a huge thing that you need to work on. and then we go into decel. That all looks fine. The decel phase looks okay. Okay, the last thing I notice is look how you're kind of just finishing without really falling off very much. Okay, this back leg, I'll get that line up there. That back leg should come up and over. Alright, it should come up and over our front side. It's kind of just kind of lazy coming up there, and that's because you're not really using your legs at all. Alright, and it all starts back here when we're coming up onto that toe early. Okay, so those are some things to think about, Brandon. If you got any questions, let me know. We need to work really hard on your glove side. We need to work on your lead leg block, which is how we're not extending that front leg right there. And then, so we need to work on your glove side. You need to work on using your legs a little bit better, and then really need to work on this lead leg block. All right, if you have any questions, be sure to let me know, but we'll get some drills going for you that can really help you with that. All right, thank you.